Hi all, welcome to Salesforce in 5 minutes. In this video, we are going to work on save and new functionality. So usually what happens is in save and new functionality, once user clicks on save and new, what happens is the form is going to close down, and after that again it's going to open up. So that's what usually happens standardly. So the same thing we are going to build using our custom LWC component. But before getting started, if you really like my videos, I request you to please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. So what we are going to do is, if you already know and if you are following my videos till this point, the pop-up that you are seeing right now, if I'm going to click on new, usually this kind of pop-up appears. Now the pop-up that you are seeing, okay, this pop-up is coming because of a component called as reusable component, right? And the form, that is the fields that are coming from the reusable record edit form. Okay, so these two are completely different components. So in this video you are also going to learn why and when do we use custom events in LWC. So I have a pop-up component, let's name it as P. Okay, and I have a record edit form component in which we have save button, save and new button, and cancel button, right? I am going to name it as SNN, right? So what usually happens is, what I want to do is, if user clicks on this button, I because this form is embedded inside this pop-up, right? This form particularly is embedded inside this pop-up. What I need to do is, once user clicks on save and new, I need to tell this pop-up, okay, save and new is clicked, can you please close down? So pop-up is going to close down and again reopen after a few seconds, right? So basically what we need to do is, once user clicks on save and new, okay, we need to close down this pop-up, right? And also along with that, after a few seconds, let's say 2000 milliseconds, we are going to again reopen this pop-up. So that's what we are going to do. And if user clicks on save, I just want to redirect him, like if he clicks on save, let's say, okay, just save, then I want to redirect them to the view page, which I have done already in my previous video. If the user clicks on cancel, we just need to redirect them to the view page. But only the main thing over here is save and new, right? These two are two different components. I need to use communication, that okay, in this particular recorded database, save and new is clicked, and as save and new is clicked, I need to close this pop-up component and again reopen it. So I have to do some kind of communication, right? So that's where we use custom events in LWC, and we are also going to use it in our real time in this video. So let's get started. So first thing, the form is coming from the reusable record edit form, and the buttons are also coming from the reusable record edit form, and the pop-up usually comes from pop-up reusable component. So now, first, usually in if you have watched my previous video, once user clicks on save, they're getting redirected to a view page. If I go over here, what's usually happening is, if user goes and clicks on save, where is it? Yeah, handle save. Okay, if he clicks on handle save, what are we doing is, we are just submitting the form, and once we submit the form, as soon as you submit the form, if you know the life cycle of LWC, what happens is it submits the form, and if it is submitted, it either goes to success or either it goes to error, right? So either there is a success or either there is an error. So it will either go inside the handle success, as we have already talked in the previous video. Either it will go inside the handle success or either it will go inside the handle error. So both of the ways it can go anywhere. Now let's say if user is going to click on handle save, we are just submitting the form, and as soon as we submit the form, it goes inside the handle success and things are carried out from there. Very well. But now we want to also implement the functionality of save and new, right? In save and new, we need to fire an event, and we need to do other stuff, right? So for that purpose, custom component or our JavaScript, this JavaScript should know that either the button save and new is clicked or other save is clicked, and then on the base of that, we are going to cover the handle success. So for that purpose, to differentiate whether save is clicked or handle save is clicked, I'm going to create a variable. Let's say save and new var, right? So this variable I'm going to create, and inside handle save and new, what I'm going to do is, as soon as user is going to click handle save and new is, I'm going to make this variable true. Save and new var equals to true, right? So what I'm going to do is, as soon as user is going to click on handle save and new, I'm going to make this variable as true. And if user clicks on handle save, just save. Okay, so this means he has not clicked on save and new. I'm going to make this variable as false. Okay, so if user clicks on save and new, I'm going to make this variable true. If not, then I'm going to make it false. Next, all I need to do is I just need to submit this form. Okay, now rather than like if I want to also save the record, right, in handle save and new, record gets saved and the component is reopened again, closed and reopened. So I can do one way, I can just submit the form over here, or instead of that I can create a common function, common save, and I'm going to submit the form over here, and I'm just going to call this common save inside handle save and new, and also inside handle save. So what's going to happen is, as user is going to click on save, okay, so he will just make this variable false, and we will run this common save. The common save is going to submit the form, and then we either go inside the handle success or either handle error. Same is going to happen with handle save and new. Inside save and new, this variable will become true, or the save and new variable, and we will just submit the form. We go to success or error. Now if this variable is true, oof, okay, if this variable is true, this save and new var, if this variable is true, I need to fire a custom event and to close and reopen the pop-up, right? So if it is true, then I need to pop up or close and reopen the pop-up. But instead, if it's false, this means user has clicked on save button, right? If this variable was if this variable is false, this means the user has clicked on save button. But if this variable is true, this means user has clicked on save and new button. So if he has clicked on save and new button, what I need to do is I need to inside the handle success, as soon as the recorded form is submitted, we will go inside the handle success, and inside handle success I need to fire an event if user clicks on save and new. But on the other hand, if he just clicks on save, I just need to redirect him to a particular view page. So that's what I'm doing, navigation mixin, and I'm just using the record page, and I'm redirecting that particular user to the event.detail.id, that is the record page of the contact. So this is done. So if user clicks on save, they are particularly gone inside the particular record view page, detail page. But if he clicks on save and new, and if this variable is true, what we are going to do is we are going to fire an event, this dot dispatch event. Let's name it as new custom event. Let's name the custom event as save and new, right? So we have named our custom event. So what's going to happen is, as soon as user is going to click on save and new, this variable will become true, and we will submit the form using the common save. We are submitting the form. As soon as we submit the form, we go inside the handle success, and if user has clicked on save and new, we are firing an event. Now this event must be captured by the pop-up. Sorry, not over here. We have fired the event once user clicks on save and new. Now what I need to do is I need to tell the pop-up, okay, the user has clicked on save and new, somehow close the form, right? That's what we're gonna do. So I'm going to handle this event inside my pop-up component. So on save and new equals to handle save and new. So if you know already, to handle an event there are two ways. This is HTML declarative format, I think so. So what usually happens is, the event is fired, the event has been fired successfully. Now this event is been handled inside this form using on keyword at the start. So my event name was save and new, so all I did was on save and new, because reusable record edit form, this is nothing but the same form, right? Reusable record edit form. So I'm just calling the same record edit form, and inside that function I'm using on and the event name save and new, right? And to handle this event I'm using handle save and new function. So just create this function quickly. Now in order to show or hide a form, we use template if or template if directive, right, in LWC. So I'm going to again use this same way, template if true. I'm going to hide this component. So let's name the variable as show hide, and by default this value of this variable should be true, because I want to show the component by default, right? So the value of this variable will be true by default, and as it is true, I will be able to see this component. Inside this I'm showing the record edit form. But now let's say what happens is, someone has clicked on handle and save, and this variable is fired, and event has been fired, and inside this event, when I come to the pop-up which is handling this event, handle save and new works, and inside this handle save and new, I am going to make this show hide as false, right? So what will happen is, once user clicks on save and new, event is fired from our record edit form component. Okay, sorry. So what's going to happen is that event is fired from our child component, that is the reusable recorded date from component, and if this is handle save and new, it's fired. Okay, this event is fired. This event is captured inside this pop-up component on save and new, and inside save and new, I'm making this variables as false. This show hide, I'm making it as false, and as soon as I make this variable as false, this template directive show hide will become false, and it will hide the pop-up. Okay, the pop-up will be completely gone. Let's look into it how it looks like. Okay, so our component is reloaded. I will click on new, and now what I'm going to do is Mr. Test Test, and I'm going to give some kind of phone number over here. Now once I do it, and if I click on save and new, again I'll recap. As soon as I click on save and new, variable will become true. Okay, this function is going to run, which is going to submit the form, and as soon as we submit the form, according to the lifecycle of LWC, it will go inside handle success or handle error. Now as there are no errors at all, it will go inside handle success, and it will check, oh, this variable is true. So if its variable is true, it's going to fire an event. Now this event is captured inside this component pop-up reusable, right, on save and new, handles save and new, inside this function. Inside this function, what I'm doing is I'm making this variables as false. As soon as this variable is going to false, it's going to hide the whole component itself, right? So let's save and new. Okay, the component is completely gone. Now I don't want it this way, right? In save and new, actually how it works is, it closes the component, also it reopens the component after few seconds. After few milliseconds, it again reopens the component. So I want that as well. So if you see, a contact will be created now. So if you can see, a contact is successfully created, not an issue, but the component, the open and close of the component did not happen. So for that purpose, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a timeout, and then make this variable again as false. Okay, again as true. So I'm going to set timeout, right? So I'm going to set the timeout as, let's say, 2000 milliseconds. Okay, and inside this timeout, what I'm okay, yeah, inside this timeout, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one more function. I'm going to call one more function which is going to make this variable as true. So what happens is, after 2000 milliseconds, again this variable becomes true, and I will be able to see this component again. Okay, so let's do this. Let's again show after some seconds, right? I'm going to create this function, and inside this function I'm just going to make this variable as true. Okay, and I'm going to call this function over here, this dot. So again, what's going to happen is, once we have handled the component, it's going to make this variable as false. Now once the variable is false, after 2000 milliseconds, it's going to run this function and again make this variable as true, so that the component will close and again reopen. So let's check it out. So let's click on new, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up all the details by Salesforce in 5. Okay, let's name it as this. I'm adding some kind of phone number, and now I'm going to click on save and new. So pop-up should close and again reappear. Okay, the pop-up again closed and again reappeared. So it's working perfectly fine. Let's see whether the contact was actually created or not. Let's click on cancel. So see, by Salesforce in 5. So our save and new functionality worked perfectly fine. The pop-up closed and again reopened after 2000 milliseconds, and our record was also created at the backend. So this is how is the real-time use of events, and this is how you can implement the functionality of save and new, the standard save and new using LWC. If you found this video helpful, I request you to please subscribe to the channel.